The biggest challenge when managing Chelsea is that only 11 players can play. I've put myself in Graham Potter's shoes at Chelsea, and in this video we'll look at the 38 game season in the Premier League. Month after month we'll see just how successful this team can be in the hands of a normal football manager or anyone playing football manager. I'm currently in pre-season, and here is the first tactic that I've been using. I came up with this, just randomly throwing players together and selecting the best roles that I think were suitable for them. And throughout my pre-season, the first few games, somewhat subpar performances, steady, but that's because the familiarity still needs to kick into gear. The results should get better as the season goes along. An additional twist to this is I'm not making any signings throughout the season. I think we've got enough players in the bank already to go and challenge for all competitions. It should be enough considering all the new signings Chelsea went on to make during the January transfer window and the already existing players that were in the team. And I also won't be using any proven overpowered Football Manager 2023 tactics. So just the old school Football Manager approach with the hands-on approach with the manager, trainings and everything, making changes as the season goes along. So I restarted my game after the Enzo Fernandez transfer went through, and I went and got the latest database that contains Enzo Fernandez in Chelsea from SL Benfica, and I actually went on to lose my first game against Hertha Berlin by 1-0. So a game that I drew 1-1 at first. We ended up losing, but the other two games we went on to win, and now I'm considering playing with a 4-2-3-1. But I will still use this 5-2-2-1 system as my main tactic, but we're going to consider having an alternative tactic as a 4-2-3-1 in case for some reason that our original system goes on to give us problems. We're going to have something to fall back on as a backup tactic. So this is probably going to be, we're going to work on the player rules much later during the season, and so far so good. This is what we're going to be working with, this 4-2-2-1 system. So after the first 5 games, we did go on to have 4 wins out of 5. The game against Manchester United was slightly trickier than all the other 4 games. Arsenal was a bit more straightforward than I expected it to be, but the game against United really pulled us apart. As much as we tried our best to try and get back in that game, there was just one last goal from Marcus Rashford that helped Manchester United get 3 points. After that, we went on to have better run of games, 3-1 win over Wolves, and then a 2-0 win recently against Newcastle. Up next we do have Spurs, and it's not as difficult a run that is coming next in the next 2 games, so hopefully we're going to get better results from there. So we're here after the 10th league game in the league. Currently we're sitting in 3rd place. We had a 4-0 win over Ajax and a 3-1 victory over Nottingham Forest, and so far so good in the league. We're doing quite well, and we're currently flawless in the Champions League as well. No draws, no defeats, just 4 wins straight, goal difference of 11. Currently, I haven't really noticed any of our cup competitions so far. I think we had 1 game in the Carabao Cup, but our next game is coming up against Exeter City, and we've lost just twice against Liverpool and Manchester United. Remember, I think we've looked at the 3-2 defeat against Manchester United, but the 1-0 defeat at Liverpool was one that I didn't really enjoy working with. It wasn't a fun game. So looking at the tactics that I've been using so far, I've gone on to make some tweaks in my tactics, and 4-2-3, let's say a 4-3-3 DM wide is like my backup formation. I have also an alternative 4-3-3 back 3 system here, an alternative 5-3-2 where there's 3 at the back, 2 central midfielders, Enzo Fernandez, N'Golo Kante. Normally this will be Kovacic and N'Golo Kante as a ball-winning midfielder on supporting team. I go on to change it ever so often. Pulisic also playing here, and then Sterling playing as a winger, sometimes inverted winger also. Deep line forward, I'm still sticking to that. This is obviously the main system as well, and then the backup system has a defensive midfielder, deep line playmaker on support duty, flat back 4, 1 box-to-box midfielder and 1 central midfielder on attack duty. Sterling playing as a winger on attack in this role, sometimes on supporting the other tactic. And here I'm opting for an advanced forward because it's technically a lone striker, and then all the other guys. This tactic is slightly more cautious than the other 2 back 3 systems, and Aubameyang often plays in this role. I didn't expect to use him in this tactic, but because of the way this save is, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to be playing sometimes on the advanced forward on attack. That's actually why I opted for this role, so Aubameyang can go into that space and try and run at the defense, create more chances, and of course score goals. So we're back here in December, and the World Cup has just concluded, and before the holiday we did have a game against Exeter and Everton, and previously, I think the last game we lost was against Liverpool, and ever since the Liverpool defeat at Anfield, we haven't really lost the game ever since. And then we had a tough run against Ajax, but in the second meeting between us and Ajax, we actually slapped them and completely won the game. The Aston Villa one was quite tough. They ended up equalizing just immediately after we scored, and then they kind of held on up until the end of the game. A game against Leeds was slightly tougher because I don't really like beating Leeds. I realized that I'm such a Leeds fan, and going on to beat Leeds 3-0 earlier was a really difficult one for me, but we had to get through it. The game is the game, so you have to do whatever you have to do to actually go on to win this trophy, because that is the plan anyway. So as we went on after Leeds, we did have an easy game against Exeter City, and just before the holiday we went on to beat Everton at Goodison Park. I haven't really tweaked the tactic that much. The only issue I have is in the right wing role, where Sterling has been complaining ever so often that why don't I play him, why don't I play him. And usually I have Sterling in this role playing as a winger on attack duty, and often when I'm playing Madueke and all the other players like João Felix and Mudryk, they can play as inverted wingers on support duty, but when Sterling starts complaining, and then I throw him back into the team. I still have my traditional 4-3-3. I kind of trust the 4-3-3 system, but with this Chelsea team, I tend to use the back three system more. That's the back three with two central attacking midfielders on the back, and this other system where there are two wide players. So the 4-2-3 is usually just for like backup scenarios, and when Denis Zakaria often tends to play in this role for me as the deep line playmaker on support duty. Kovacic, on the other hand, has been injured for the most part of this season. Ever since the Liverpool game, I haven't really had much chance to use him, but that's good, I guess, because the upcoming fixtures are going to be quite tough. So we're going to need every man that we can gather. It's good that Kovacic is actually back. So looking at the next fixtures that we do have in this scenario, we do have games against, just the Birmingham game coming up, but after Birmingham we do have Man City and West Ham. West Ham comes up first before Man City. Then there's a small matter of Leicester at home. I just had to pick that here. And then Plymouth, Crystal Palace and Fulham. Those are games that I do expect to win before we can worry about Liverpool coming much later in February. But February is going to deal with itself. We're going to get to that as soon as we get to that bridge. We're going to cross it. So for now, we're going to focus on City. That's the one game I'm going to have my eye on. By the end of this video, we'll find out if we do eventually win the league with Chelsea. That's the plan anyway. Remember to leave a like for this video if you enjoy it, and also if you are new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when more Football Manager videos do come out here on the channel. So back here in February, game week 25, and the World Cup is behind us so far, and we've had quite a good number of games. And to be honest, for the first time in this particular save, we're currently first in the league with 59 points. After the Liverpool game that we lost 1-0, we've only gone on to lose like 3 times. I have to admit, we lost against Manchester City. There was one big defeat that we had against Cardiff City in the Carabao Cup quarterfinal, but I chose to somehow not think about it too much. We did go on a run of games that helped us get over that, and then we beat Accrington Stanley 4-1 in the FA Cup. And then how about this from Enzo Fernandez against Napoli? What a strike from long distance. We did go on to beat Liverpool. We had our revenge against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge, and for that game we actually turned on the style a bit. I had to tweak my tactic just for the Liverpool game. So usually I would have Sterling play as a winger on attack and Reece James as a winger on attack as well, and have my central attacking midfielder here, but I've gone on to tweak those roles and change them completely. I did have the roaming playmaker here as Kovacic. Kovacic actually went on to play the Liverpool game for me. It's good that we had him back right on time, so he was available for the Liverpool game. We had Kante play as a box-to-box midfielder, in the other central midfield role, and then I think I had Denis Zakaria play in the defensive midfield role. That sort of gave us a balance as to how we can go about combating Liverpool, and then it helped us get a 2-0 victory over the Red. Our next game is at home against Manchester United, and after Manchester United, I think it's just Arsenal and the second leg against Napoli that seem to be the games that I have to really worry too much about. We have Manchester City on the horizon coming up, but we're not going to worry too much about them. We're just going to take care of Millwall immediately after United, and then worry about the other games later. So we're back at the end of the season and match day 38, and get this, we won the league. Surprise, surprise. Liverpool came in second, City and Spurs third and fourth respectively. Newcastle came in 5th place. I hope this is, to some extent, this may be similar to how the Premier League season may go on to end. I hope Newcastle get into the Champions League places for some reason. Chelsea, well, they're far off. They're currently 10th or 9th in real life, but I've managed to somehow win the league with Chelsea. But get this, it seems like in all of that competitions, I didn't take them that seriously. I did get knocked out in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League by Bayern, a game that I didn't really enjoy watching or enjoy managing. Got knocked out by Cardiff City in the Carabao Cup. Serious heartbreak there, but one I was actually happy about was the Leeds United one. Leeds United went on to knock my Chelsea team out of the FA Cup in the semi-finals, and if you look at the schedule, I'm just going to filter it real quick, go into the filter and then take away all competitions and then just leave the FA Cup. We did go on to lose to Leeds, and Leeds United in the final how do I do this? Okay, go into FA Cup, and then looking at the final, they currently have Wolves outstanding in that game, and I do hope that they go on to win it after knocking my team out. In all the other fixtures, we did do quite well overall. I had a good season. It's actually fun using elite teams to play in Football Manager, and our standard results came against Spurs and a 3-0 win over Spurs. There was Everton in there, and then Napoli as well in the second leg. We did go on to beat them in the second leg. Towards the end of the season, it got really tricky. This is the game where we went on to beat Leeds, and then in the FA Cup they went on to beat us by 2-0. And for some reason, we did go on to beat Aston Villa and Brighton. And then for the last 4 games of the season, I didn't win a single game. It's a miracle how we still ended up winning the league despite everything, and the group of players that I have, a fantastic group of players so far. This season, the tactic I used was basically my back 3 system with 2 attacking midfielders and 2 central midfielders, and then 2 central midfielders, normal, the 4-3-3 DM wide, and then the third alternative tactic was 2 central midfielders with 2 wide players and the back 3 system as well. My players were often unhappy during this save, especially Raheem Sterling, but we somehow managed to find a way to actually go on to win the league, and it's been a fantastic save so far. I'm still going to go on to try this with a different team, of course. Much saves like this, and if you enjoy content like this, remember to subscribe to the channel so you can get up to date with more Football Manager save stories like this. I still go on to share tactics on the channel as well, and Football Manager hints and tips. So if you like Football Manager content, if you like that kind of stuff, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when more Football Manager videos do come out. If you enjoyed this video, do leave a like on it. I'll catch you much later with more Football Manager videos. Thanks for watching.